I hope everyone's as excited as I am by this. This is just an incredible, incredible era. So we're going to push the start of the next session by a few minutes. These guys had a lot to share, right? So that there is a little bit of time for questions. So let's go ahead by that, and let's take about 7 minutes-ish for questions. And please go ahead.
Hi, Hope Ishii, University of Hawaii. Whoops, and I knocked the whole mic down. I'm just wondering, because you'd mentioned that LTV was going to be the contracts were going to be modeled after CLIPS, whether there are lessons learned that are going into the considerations for the LTV contracts.
Yeah, is this working? There we go. So yeah, I think I used the word similar to CLIPS. And yes, certainly lessons learned. Again, driving home the point that we are talking to each other between our directorates. But yeah, we announced 3. And so the first question we had to answer was, are all 3 building the LTV? They are not. They are currently maturing their concepts. And we will put out a subsequent call for the final LTV, for which they will be the 3 that can compete for that. So that'll be a task order for a service that we will use. So it's structuring somewhat similar to the way CLIPS was designed. And we'll look to them to solve that, the set of requirements, however they wish. The example we talked about a good bit was it's a 10-year service. So they can build a rover that lasts 10 years, and maybe that needs maintenance, or they can build 2 rovers because they're required to launch the rover as well. So whatever their preferred approach is, we'll evaluate that in coordination with our colleagues and the other directorates to determine, what's the best option we have for the goals we have at that time.
Okay, other questions? Rosemary.
Yeah, Sarah, do you expect the budget for Can 5 to be flat or increasing relative to Can 4?
We have not determined the answer to that yet. We are exploring both of those options.
5.
Jake, what's your definition of sustainable? No, we won't do that one. I'm intrigued to know where resource prospecting lives in NASA, because you want Moon to Mars objectives. Lunar Infrastructure 7 demonstrate industrial scale ASIU capabilities in support of a continuous human lunar presence and a robust lunar economy. We need a foothold. As you said, Jake, we've got to get a foothold. Well, how do we put in LMAP and LDAP? Don't allow it. So how can we put in proposals to develop prospectivity maps on the basis of the great data we currently have? And how can we, start getting a foothold for this particular objective and making ISRU a reality? Because we were discouraged from putting in an LDAP because we do science. You can get a lot of science out of prospecting. And I just want to know where resource prospecting actually lives at NASA, so we can put in proposals and start getting a foothold.
Yeah, so as you are well aware, Clive, similar question was asked of us at LSIC last year. And so we are coordinating across the directorates. We recognize we did not have an answer for that in October. So I don't have a definitive answer to point a finger at the moment, but we are coordinating cross-directorate. And one of the things we were asked to do was begin to put together a strategy to settle that. And again, I can't present that strategy now because we're working it right now. What I can do is encourage, when we start hearing about lunar surface science workshops or activities through LSIC, to please do participate in those activities, because we want to do that in a way that encourages the community input into that strategy. I think my opinion is one of the most important things we can talk about is the overall measurement strategy. So as Deborah pointed out earlier, these objectives that we're showing here, they're not mission specific, they're architecture specific. Mm-hmm. So meaning that through the architecture, we need to achieve them. But what we kind of lacking right now is a set of nearer term specific goals, right, and dependencies between them. Because I think the dependencies it's really easy to say we want to go solve this one, but you have to remember that we have to solve the whole spectrum. And
there's a knock-on effect. I get that.
Yeah.
I get that.
So we're working on it. I hear you, Clive.
Yeah.
do hear you, and I can't stand up here and tell you that we've answered it since October.
But
I can tell you that we're coordinating and working on it across the directorates and having that exact conversation.
I had high hopes for the lunar mapping project, but then resource and prospecting is not in that at all. So we need to sort of broaden the stovepipe a little bit, it seems. And Sarah, can you give me some hope? Not to put you on the spot or anything, but
so again, that is a pilot project, and we're going to see how it goes. I am hopeful that we might be able to expand the lunar mapping project in future years right now, but at the moment it is a fairly small pilot project.
Right. Okay.
Okay, we're late, so this will be the last question.
Real quick. So the ESA lunar prospect is really similar to the Viper. And it was supposed to fly on a Russian spacecraft, but it's not. Now it's on CLIPS. Is there any correlation with the Viper not flying?
No, there's no correlation. Yeah, we were planning on flying Prospect well before the decisions were even known that we had to make decisions on Viper.
Okay, great. Well, we really need to move to the next session. Please, let's give another hand to our speakers here.